Hello and welcome back to World Class Coaching. I'm Glenn Preston, and today I'm going to do a tactical analysis session on how to beat the more modern, compact, reinvented 4-4-2. So before I go into sort of some of the solutions and tactical ideas of how to break this system down, we're going to look at, using Leicester, what is the modern, compact, narrow 4-4-2. So looking at the diagram above, I'm highlighting the two Leicester City strikers, sitting in and around the halfway line, allowing the opposition to have the ball in their defensive third, pressurising both the opposition's holding midfielders, creating a kind of 10 versus 8 game in their favour in their own half. You can see here the pressure prevents them from being able to play through central. There's no forward passing options. It's very clustered and compact. 3 or 4 around one person. As you can see here, there's 3 versus 9 in the line, but the centre back on the ball has no easy passes through to one central midfield. And as they move the ball horizontally, you can see the Leicester City striker on the far side almost man-marking the other central midfielder from an outside position. Wingers are massively important in preventing passes that go through the half-space lanes and also the central areas, any holding midfielders. So you can see here, it's sort of 2 versus 1, so they can double press, forces the play out wide. Here you can see the double pressing the holding midfielder that's playing in the half-space lane, and it forces again the play out wide. One additional advantage to this, and it's a significant one, is that by being in a very central position, one, it allows the central midfielders to not have to cover much ground, so they're not doing great big horizontal shifts between the two of them, so they can stay compact. But also, if you look at the position of the winger in this, it protects the central areas in and around the penalty box. It's a screening role, and that screening role allows the midfielder, the next player in line, to not have to mark, to not have to do any covering duties, to actually be able to go and press and provoke, able to step out of position because he's no longer concerned about what's happening in and around those central areas because it's well protected. You can see an example of it here. Screening access through towards the central areas in and around the penalty box, no access, allows the second central midfielder to be able to go and provoke, not hold a covering position. But they're still preventing forward passes and forcing the play out wide when they need to. They do get into these areas, they have a pressure zone. One of the obviously the things about this Leicester City and all sides is they don't allow passes in and around the final third centros. This is the pressure zone where they must be aggressive and must provoke mistakes, and this prevents shots in good quality chances. So how would we go about breaking down a kind of modern, compact, narrow 4-4-2? Well, for me, when I've analysed different teams across the world who've been successful with it, what they've managed to achieve is they've managed to come up with a very clear plan first of all, but they've broken down the opposition's strengths and turned it into a weakness. And I think that's what great managers do. They turn strengths into weaknesses. So we're going to see some examples like with France, where they break down each line as an individual. We're going to see examples where teams overload one area of the pitch and move the opposition in order to create space somewhere else. And finally, we're going to see how teams exploit half spaces and create overloads in those particular areas in order to drag and pull players out of that shape. So first example up here, we can see Borussia Dortmund, and there's a real cleverness behind this design. Shifts, so you can see he's going to get pulled there, which is then going to put them into a midfield 3. That midfield 3 has to remain compact, otherwise the passes will go through the half space lanes, and because they're almost making their lines a back 3, defensive back 3, or a midfield back 3, you're going to start to see that when they do switch the play, which they can't prevent because they've moved the ball to one side, that they're suddenly going to have to cover twice as much ground or at twice the speed. You see they can't prevent the switch of play here because they've been moved to one side. It allows them to get in these 1v1s, 2v2, creating positional superiority and numerical superiority where they can. And then with this, Pep already has what we'd consider qualitative superiority, in that man for man, 1v1 all over the pitch, they're going to have slightly better quality of players. But he also wants to dominate the central areas of the pitch, and he also wants to gain numerical advantages where possible. And so what we're going to see here is inverted fullbacks going in to almost make a midfield 5 around the 4 midfielders. And what that does is it allows his 2 more creative attacking midfielders, De Silva and De Bruyne, to play just in behind the 2 central midfielders. Here you can see the 2 inverted fullbacks here that I'm circling, creating the holding midfielders. So the 2 central midfielders, if they go and press in there, you can see David Silva, who's just on the far side, and De Bruyne, who's a little bit off picture, they're going to become free players, and if they want to pressurise those players, it's going to mean that the centre backs have to come out from their back line to press them, which is going to leave gaps. Using wingers to press instead of central midfielders, as you can see Sunderland trying to do here, well, all that creates is a massive amount of space in the channels and 2v1s against the fullback situation. So it's almost a win-win situation no matter what the opposition does. You can see there's 8 players within probably 20 metres on the right hand side of the pitch, and if they're able to work really quick switches of play, they're going to get their best confrontational players in 1v1 and 2v2 situations while stretching the opposition to the maximum. I'm going to show Manchester United using similar tactics, overloading the left hand side of the pitch and looking to switch to get into 1v1 and 2v2 examples. I'll show the last couple of examples here of France breaking down Iceland in Euro 2016, and again they've used the left hand side. They're manipulating the half space, creating overloads, drawing and breaking down the lines. You can see here a centre back has stepped out the line, creating a back 3. France have got 5 up against that back 3, and it's allowed for penetration and for them to score on this occasion.